Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for June 18th through 24th. Let's get started. All of our sales this week are from eBay, so let's dive right in. The first thing we sold was a Maurice's women's maroon and gray. It was like a sweatshirt material knit top. It was short sleeve though, and it kind of had some lace detail on the shoulder. We found this in the Goodwill bins. We picked it up because we sell a lot of the Maurice's items that we pick up. We got this for just 61 cents and it sold for $15 even on best offer. We did sell this twice. It came back the first time with a fit issue, and the second time we sold it, the buyer was happy with it, so that's good. Next up is a J. Crew women's navy and white off-the-shoulder knit top. This was my daughter's shirt, and it was actually a hand-me-down, so we didn't have any cost with it. We sold it for $15.68 on offer to buyer. Next up was a hot pink tank top. The brand was Tempted, and it was just a stretch halter top. It didn't really have anything special to it, but it said it was made in the USA, so we decided to list it. And it did sell for $10 even. We got this out of one of the storage units that we purchased. Our cost of goods from that unit was very low, just 28 cents a listing. So we still made money on this and we got positive feedback on it. Next up was a pair of the Barbie yellow shoes that we got in that huge bag of yellow Barbie shoes from the Goodwill bins. These were bright yellow slip-on open toe heels. We got these out of the bins. Like I said, we paid just 61 cents per item from that trip. And this pair of shoes sold for $10.99. Next up was one of the maps that we got out of the box of maps from that garage sale. This one was from Trier, Germany. This one sold for $19.99, which was our full asking price. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, we only paid 9 cents per map from that box of maps. And we are selling them regularly, so that was definitely worth it. If you ever see a big box of maps and some of them are vintage, even if they're not vintage, it might still be worth picking up. Maps sell. Something to think about. Next up was a Sony Silver handheld micro recording device. This was a digital recorder. We got this at an estate sale for $3.25. I think it was day 2 and everything was 25% off that day. This one sold for $19.99. We tested it and it worked. And that was our asking price that it sold for. Next up was a really pretty stained glass lighthouse lamp. We plugged it in and it worked. We found this in a bag and it was stuffed all full of clothes wrapped up with clothes protecting it inside of the bag in one of the storage units that we bought. This lamp sold for $49.99, so this is one of the items that made that unit worth it because that was a really good sale. We only paid 28 cents per listing from that unit. And this is an example of why we go through those units very, very carefully because you can find little gems in them like these. And we got positive feedback for this item. Next up was a pair of the kids' shoes that we got from the shoe liquidation purchase that I made. Most of the shoes that we bought from that shoe liquidation purchase were Saltwater brand, but I did also buy some Lamore brand shoes. They have not been selling as well, but this pair did sell. These were really cute though. These are Lamore pink patent sandals, and they have like flower embellishments all over them. I think these are even cuter than the Saltwaters personally, but they're not as popular as the Saltwaters for some reason. But I had paid $9.09 per pair for the shoes from that purchase, and this pair sold for $25.49. And this buyer found us because they were looking for a pair of Saltwater shoes. Got brought to our store from that. We did not have the pair of Saltwaters they were looking for in their size, and they ended up finding these. So we still sold these because of the Saltwaters. Next up was a pair of 7 For All Mankind women's Skinny Bee Air denim crop mid-rise jeans. We got these at a garage sale for $2 and they sold for $27.18 on offer to buyer. Next up was another item we got from that storage unit. This was a red ceramic kind of modern art looking piece of home decor. It was just a tabletop decor type item, and it was in the shape of a red heart. The brand was Interiors by Design. We decided to list it because we try to list as much as we can when we do a purchase like that to try to get as much profit out of it as possible, and you never know what's going to sell. This sold for $29.99, and we had paid just 28 cents for this item. Next up was a pair of Brighton women's shoes. Brighton is a brand to be on the lookout for. These were probably somewhat vintage shoes. Brighton has a really distinct look, and most of their items are made in Italy. Most of their shoes, at least, are made in Italy, but they also make belts and purses, any kind of leather goods like that. So be on the lookout for Brighton items. We have sold belts by Brighton, shoes by Brighton. I think we've also sold a couple of handbags or wallets by Brighton before, and they usually sell for a good amount of money. So if you can get it at the right price, that is a brand worth picking up. We got these at a thrift store for $6.47, and they sold for $39.98, and we got positive feedback on those. Next up was a pair of Mossimo women's dark wash pleated cuffed cotton stretch shorts. They were just in like pristine condition. I think that's why I picked them up, but probably not really worth it. We had paid $1.33 at the bins, and they sold for $11.98 on offer to buyer. They did take a while to sell, but we did get positive feedback on them. Like I said, they were in really good condition. At this time, I'd like to pause for a moment and invite you to subscribe to our channel if you're not already. It is the #1 thing you can do to support us, and we really would appreciate it. And while you're at it, make sure to hit that like button. We would appreciate that as well. Let's move on. All right, the next thing that sold was a pair of Stuart Weitzman shoes, another brand to be on the lookout for. These are very high-end shoes. They sell for a lot at retail, and I have found that they resell really well as well. I rhymed that whole sentence. But this was a pair of 8B black stretch fabric peep toe pumps. We got these at a garage sale for $1, and they sold for $27.98. Next up was our sale of the week for sure. This was an American Girl doll of today. She was doll number 15. I found this at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at a garage sale. It was super hot. It was the end of the day. I walked up to this garage sale and started digging in a box that was like on the curb basically, and it was just full of toys, and I see an American Girl box in there, and I was like, certainly there is not an American Girl in here. But we actually have a short about this, so I will link that so you guys can check it out. But I pulled that box out, and I felt the weight of it, and I was like, I think there's an American Girl doll in here. And I opened it, and there was. And it was also full of American Girl branded clothing and shoes and other accessories. And I was like, she probably wants a lot for this, but it was jammed down in that box with a bunch of toys, so I wasn't sure. So I asked, and she said, kind of sheepishly, I really want $10 for it. I'm sure you can understand why I want that much, because you know how much these are. And I'm thinking, only 10? Of course, I'll give you $10 for it. So I just immediately, paid her for that. And I bought some other like Paw Patrol type items and things at this garage sale. But this was a really, really, really good purchase, because apparently this is a harder to find American Girl doll because she has medium toned skin and textured hair. I guess she's just a harder to come by doll. She is one of the Pleasant Company dolls. You can tell if they are branded Pleasant Company or Mattel by looking at the back of the neck. This one was stamped Pleasant Company. And then the box that she was in was the correct box for her, and it had the information about what doll she was. Although I did post her onto a, ID My Doll kind of Facebook website, kind of Facebook group site, so that I could confirm that I had that doll that went into that box, and they were able to confirm that information for me. So then at that point, I started doing research to see how much I could get for her, and I was quite shocked at, this one being as valuable as it was. So I decided to list it for, I think, $229.99, and it sold almost immediately on offer to buyer for $206.98. I probably could have held out and gotten my full asking price, but I like things to move fast, so I try to send out offers when somebody expresses an interest on something so I don't lose them, and that item sold immediately. I had in my cost for this item in my spreadsheet that I had paid $8 because even though we paid $10 for the box, there were all those clothes and stuff in it, so I had taken some of that cost and applied it to that. So this was really, really, really a good purchase. Super excited about that one. Next up was a Hallmark It's a Celebration acid-free instant scrapbook. It was brand new, unused. It looked like it was, actually I know that this was given as a gift to somebody because inside the box there was a handwritten Hallmark card that said like, "Happy housewarming, Pam and Steve," or something like that. So Pam and Steve never used the scrapbook, and then they ended up donating it to a thrift store because that's where we got this item. We paid $2.70 for it, and we sold this scrapbook for $23.98 on offer to buyer, and we got positive feedback on it. Next up was the two-piece set of refrigerator dishes. If you've watched any of our videos in the past, you might know that we sold a three-piece set of refrigerator dishes that was the same set, and the buyer complained that we didn't have lids included because when she looked at the pictures, she mistakenly thought that the bottoms of the dishes were the lids and ended up opening a case on us about that. It was a whole thing. Anyway, she ended up returning the items, and when she returned them, she did not wrap them well, and one of the dishes got broken. Well, an update on that, I did only give her a partial refund, and I never heard back from her on that. She never confirmed that she received the partial refund, so that process expired, and basically eBay just closed that case and said, here's your money back to her, and said to me, this case is closed, no further action can be taken by her, and everything is settled. So that's what ended up happening with that. I thought that was all kind of weird, but that's what ended up happening with that whole thing, so that's good to me. I'm glad that worked out like that. I'm sorry that she was unhappy, but we felt like we represented the dishes well. You will see that we put clearly in the title this time, no lids, even though we had that information I thought was very obvious in the listing last time. I wanted to make it even more obvious this time because we do try to learn from incidences like this in previous sales when we have buyers complain about things. Even if I feel like they're being unreasonable, I do try to take that information and improve our listings in the future, so I did that. But we did sell the remaining two dishes that weren't broken for $32.99. And our original cost on this purchase at a garage sale was $3. Of course, we did have the shipping cost from shipping it out to her the first time, and then because we offer free returns and because she had opened an item not as described claim, we had to pay for her to return the item back. But we still made a little bit of profit on this item, I think. Not much, but we're just glad to have the dishes gone. The second buyer is happy. Everything is good, and we're done with this purchase, and I probably won't be purchasing refrigerator dishes for a very, very, very long time. Next up was a lot of they were called Moods cassette tapes. They were called Sailboat Voyage and Thunderstorm Terror. I don't know why you would want to be terrorized when you're listening to cassette tapes, but apparently somebody did, and they purchased them from us for $7.48. We had gotten these for free from a family member who gifted them to us to sell, and these sold on offer to buyer. And I guess these were just kind of like nature sounds kind of cassettes. And so this is probably not something that we would seek out to buy, but because we got them for free, we listed them and they sold. Next up was a very similar item, but this is something that we did buy. This was Sounds and Songs of the Humpback Whale. This was a 1989 cassette. We got this at a thrift store for 13 cents. We've just found that humpback whale sounds tend to sell. This one sold for $11.20. It did not sell to the same person who bought the Moods cassette. Back to back like that, you might have thought that they would, but they did not. Next up was a 10-pack of Papyrus brand romance coupons, and they were in a metal tin They all had like cards and envelopes. They were so neat looking, and I can't believe these took as long as they did to sell. But they were all things like, things that you could give to your romantic partner that says like, one coupon good for me doing the dishes, or one coupon good for a free massage from me, or, all kinds of different things like that. And so they were just really beautifully made. The brand Papyrus makes really beautiful stationery type items, and these were just really, really nice. They were kind of hard to market. And so unless you were specifically searching for these on eBay, they might be kind of hard to find, but they did take a long time to sell. But I would pick them up again if I saw them in the Goodwill bins because they're just so darn cute. But we did get these in the bins for 61 cents. And they sold on offer to buyer for $14.18. And we did get positive feedback on those. Next was a lot of the Blue Press magazines. We got these at a garage sale in a big box of gun-related books and magazines. We paid just 38 cents for these. I paid a bulk rate for the box of magazines and then broken down our cost per item. These sold for $9.99, which was our full asking price. Next was a 2009 scunchie, I don't know how to say that, scunchie. Effortless Beauty 10-piece, 5-color, 3-inch plastic hair side combs. They were new in the package, and we had gotten these in the Goodwill bins for $1.03. They sold for $8.50. It was originally a 12-pack, and there were 2 removed. And I had originally listed them as a 12-pack. I didn't realize that there were 2 removed, and I had a buyer contact me and let me know that I had listed it incorrectly. And I never get offended by that. Y'all, if you notice a mistake in my listings on eBay, reach out to me and let me know. I find that actually to be really helpful. I usually just say thank you and we'll move on. Unless, I know what you're telling me is incorrect, then I'll probably just still say thank you and move on, but not correct it. But I usually take that as a big help because I don't want to have a mistake in my listing. She saved me from having an issue with a buyer later on, so I just actually immediately ended that listing and then later on went back and corrected it and relisted it. So that was a major help to me. I always see incidences like that when people reach out to me and let me know about an issue with my listing as a major help, so I don't get offended in the least. Next up was 2 Monster High dolls. They were both nude. We did not have any clothing for them. We got these at a thrift store in a bag of Barbie type dolls. We had paid $4.84 for them in total, and they sold for $14.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was a 2004 Texas Instruments TI-84 graphing calculator. It was missing the cover, but it did work. We got this very recently at a garage sale. These TI-84 calculators always sell super fast. Definitely worth picking up at the right price. We had paid just $2 for it, and it sold for our full asking price of $39.99. We did get a couple of low offers on this immediately, which I turned down because I knew we would be able to get close to full price on this. So this is an example of when I did not take, the first offer that came along. I knew this one would sell for close to full asking price, and I had priced it well, considering that it was missing the cover. And we did get positive feedback on this. Last up, I will go over all of the collectible cards that sold from my husband's personal collection. This week we only sold low value cards, meaning cards valued at $10 or under. We do have a few high value cards listed, but they're not like super high value. They're valued at like $30 to $50. Maybe we have one that's listed around $100, but they're just not as highly sought after cards as we normally list. And we have not really listed any high value cards in a while. I have some sitting over there that I'm waiting to list, but we need to get on that because sometimes I think that greases the wheels of eBay a little bit and gets eBay thinking like, oh, well, they have all this awesome merchandise and people are really interested in their store. So we're going to list some more soon. But this week we only sold 4 low value cards, and actually it was 5 low value cards for a total dollar amount of $25.74. So let's go over the totals. The total number of sales that we had this week was 26. That is pretty low, definitely lower than we'd like it to be. We are in the heart of summer slowdown though, so not much we can do about that. We've been listing like crazy and we're still seeing low sales. I think that's just the nature of the beast of summer. Our average sale price was $25.31. That's a little bit lower than I'd like it to be, but summer slowdown. Our total sales in dollars was $657.93, and that made for a net profit of $372.99. That is way lower than I want it to be, but we are doing what we can over here and hoping for the best. So I will tell you that sales have picked up a little bit, and like I said, we've been listing like crazy, and that is definitely making sales improve, but I'm sure that everybody is experiencing some level of summer slowdown. It's just part of being a seller on eBay and on any other platform. Let me know how your sales are doing in the comments below. Are you experiencing summer slowdown? How much of a summer slowdown? What are some things that you do to combat it? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you hit that like button to let us know if you liked this video. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really would mean a lot to us. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.